super excited for today's video because today we are discussing an indie brand of nail polish that I've recently been trying out. As I'm sure you could tell from the title of this video, the brand that we are talking about today is Cameo Colors Lacquers. This is an indie brand that's based out of Oklahoma. I have purchased from them twice. One was indirectly through Polish Pickup, the other was through their website. Let's first talk about my first experience with Cameo Colors, which was purchasing through Polish Pickup. I purchased this shade, which is Ghostly Guard, back in October of this year. Cameo Colors was not a brand that I'd heard very much about, but I window shopped Polish Pickup for a long time before I actually made a purchase from Polish Pickup, and pretty consistently their polishes were ending up on my mental wish list. I'd more than once filled up a cart and then sort of whittled it down to 3 or 4 polishes, which for me is a comfortable amount of polishes to buy during PPU, and regularly their polishes had made it down to that fantasy list of 3 or 4. So when I decided to actually take the plunge and purchase back in October, which I believe was my second time purchasing, theirs yet again made the cut. Like I said, this is the shade Ghostly Guard. It looks like a gray purple in the bottle. On my nails, I found that this skewed more purple. It's a very blue-toned purple. There are also, I think, 2 different types of elements in here. There is some kind of flake that I think is like very lightly holographic, and then there is a blue shimmer that has some iridescence to it. The overall effect is very pretty. I think I have a picture of all of the polishes that I'm talking about today to put up. I found that the polish was really easy to work with. I wore it in 3 coats once and in 2 coats once. The picture that I'm showing you today is it in 3 coats. I think it looked really good either way. I just got a little bit more of a purple blue in 3 coats, whereas I got a little bit more of a grayish blue purple in 2 coats. So it's kind of fun that it's adjustable. I found that all of these polishes actually have worn really well, and a piece that has really drawn me to Cameo Colors over some other brands is their pricing. So these are good size bottles. I would say that on average, indie brands tend to run between like 12 and 15 milliliters per bottle. So this is 15 mils, it's on the upper side of that. Those same indie brands tend to run between like $12 and $15 for a bottle. This one was $11.50. There are polishes on the Cameo Colors website that range from about $11 to about $13. So it's a little bit on the lower side of the average price range and a little bit on the higher side of the amount of product that you get for that price, which I think is quite impressive. I also really like the brush. There is a pretty wide brush on these. Let me see if I can hold this up in a way that's not going to get nail polish everywhere. So it is a little bit of a wider brush. I find that this is a really nice size. It's a little bit smaller than like the Sally Hansen brushes, but quite a bit wider than like the standard Zoya brush. This is a great size for me because it's not too wide where I can't paint my pinky and get a mess all over the sides, but it's big enough that I don't feel like I'm going back in all the time. I can cover multiple nails with one dip into the polish, which I greatly appreciate because that's so annoying when you're just going back in and back in and back in over and over again. I cannot stand that. Another piece to note is the handle has a little bit of a squared off element to it. I find it to be relatively ergonomic. I don't have a strong preference with brush handles, but this is not a bad one. My first experience with Cameo colors was a massive, massive hit, and it drew me to make a purchase from their website. So the purchase that I made from their website was an order of 6 polishes. One I selected outright, and then I purchased a mystery box of 5 polishes. I was so impressed with the customer service on Cameo Colors. Because I had purchased this mystery bag, the owner, Cameo, which by the way is such a pretty name, reached out by email and asked me, because I had purchased a mystery bag, if I already owned any shades from her brand, and if there were any particular colors or finishes that I was really interested in. And I told her, that I had this one polish already, but that I was really interested in trying a little sampling of what her brand had to offer. And I think she really delivered on that. I was really impressed by the mixture of polishes that I got. The one downside I thought was that the shipping was a little bit high. It ended up being $9.50 for within the US shipping. I thought that was pretty steep. However, in my case, it turned out to be pretty justified. Now, this is no fault of the brand whatsoever. This is entirely on me. I sent them the wrong address. When I entered my information, I think it just auto-filled with my previous address. So the package, which got sent out very quickly, I was super impressed by that, ended up failing to be delivered to my old address and wasn't forwarded. Not quite sure why it wasn't forwarded. That seems iffy to me, but it was sent back to Cameo Colors, and again, the owner reached out and asked, hey, what's the right address? I received my package, and amazingly, I received my package still within the time frame that they had promised. I believe that they said there was a 7 to 10 day processing time for orders, and I got my package 2 weeks after I had originally placed my order. So amazing customer service. I was so happy with them. I was really annoyed with myself that I made it more difficult on them, but thank you so much, Cameo, if you're watching. I really, really appreciated it. So now let's get to the fun part, which are the polishes that I received. So the first polish is the one that I picked out directly. This is Leather-Bound Book. It is a deep purpley pink that has a couple of different particles in there. We have a really fine gold particle, and then a flaky that I think is like a red to gold iridescent or multi-chrome flake. It's not entirely clear. Here's a picture. It matches my shirt really well. I really love this color. That's not a surprise. I picked this out specifically, and the formula across all of these polishes is really good. This one I wore in 2 coats. I thought it looked beautiful. I have worn all of these polishes for about 3 to 4 days. That's sort of on the upper end of how long I keep my nail polish on. And on day 4, especially, I start noticing quite a bit of wear at the tip, but that's pretty standard for me. So quite happy with how these have worn, and this color is very pretty. Next we have the 5 polishes that came in the mystery bag. The mystery bag was $30, so $6 per polish, which I thought was a really good price. And I said that I wanted a sampling of different types of shades, different types of finishes, and she delivered. This is a really lovely bag, and honestly, I think at least 4 of the 5, if I was just sifting through the website, I probably would have picked myself. So that was really exciting. Let's start with the one that I wouldn't have picked myself, but I ended up really enjoying all the same. So this is Shake That Laffy Taffy. This is a polish pickup from May of this year, and it is a mid-tone pink that has blue, hollow, and red microflakes in it. The overall effect, to my eyes, looks a little bit like bubblegum. I thought it was so fun and happy. I think this is really fun for spring and summer. It's one that I really enjoyed. I don't think this was a super flattering shade on me. It has this sort of salmon tone to it that doesn't tend to look great on me. I tend to do a little bit better with pinks that have more red or more blue in them rather than yellow. But it's a really pretty shade. I thought it looked good on the nails, and I will absolutely continue wearing this. I think it's really fun for spring. The next polish is just so incredibly different than everything else I have from the brand that I was really excited to give it a try. This is Can You Dig It? It is another polish pickup polish, and this is from April of this year. And it is a blue Crelly with neon glitters of a couple of different sizes. They're all circle glitters, but there are, I think, 2 different sizes at least in there. There are also some multi-chrome flakies in here, as well as some purple shimmer. In person, you could really see that purple shimmer, and it turned this polish in from being a blue, which is what I tend to see in the bottle, into a indigo, maybe even leaning into being a true purple. I loved it. This is so bright and so fun. I was really impressed by how well those neon glitters showed through. They weren't that obscured, even though the base color is pretty deep. I thought this was so pretty. I did wear a peel-off base coat underneath this, but peel-off base coats don't always prevent staining, and I didn't notice any stain with this polish, which, again, I was so impressed by, because look at that blue. I just assume that is going to stain my nails for a week afterwards, and it didn't. This next polish is Ville Lumiere. It is an older polish pickup polish from February of 2021, and it is a sort of orchid purple base, and it has a multi-chrome flaky running through it. And I don't know if you can see this very well, but in person, just looking at the bottle, I can see the full shift from red, orange, yellow, green, blue in the bottle. And I got that on the nails as well. I feel like this is so delicate and pretty. It kind of looks, to me, like what I would imagine a cartoon dinosaur's egg would look like. It's really pretty, it's interesting, and something I've liked about a lot of these polishes is that they're a little bit understated. There's not so much going on in these polishes that they're difficult to work with, or that I would feel out of place wearing them in a really conservative environment, you know, with the exception of this one, which is fun in its own right. But this one really takes the cake for that, I think. This is a very delicate, pretty shade, and I found that it was extremely flattering on my skin tone. So absolutely loved that one. These last 2 polishes I thought were going to be like the blue and green versions of each other when I first saw them. So the blue is Gorgeous Grinnell Lake, and the green is On Your Mark, Get Set, Go. These are also old polish pickup polishes, so from May and then February of 2022. Now looking at these two polishes, I think that the mix of elements that are in these polishes are pretty similar between the two. Both of them have some really fine hollow glitter and some like blue, green, gold, multi-chrome flakies. There are more flakies in this blue polish, but they're a pretty similar mixture. Gorgeous Grinnell Lake is quite a bit sheerer than on Your Mark, Get Set, Go. This is a lot lighter of a base, which I think might be partially because it just has more flakies in there. This took 3 coats to build up, but it did reach full opacity, and I thought that the gray blue on the nails was very pretty. Now on the other hand, On Your Mark, Get Set, Go was practically opaque in 1 coat. I did do a 2nd coat just to make sure that everything was really even. The room where I usually paint my nails doesn't have fantastic lighting, so even if things are looking good in one, I tend to do a 2nd coat just to make sure that when I move somewhere with better lighting that it is still going to look okay. I also wanted to really be able to see any depth that would come from a 2nd coat with all of these little elements in it. And I think this might have ended up being my favorite of the 7 polishes. It's just such a bright, bold green. Definitely if I had to pick a favorite, it would, I think, just vary by the day if I picked On Your Mark, Get Set, Go or Ville Lumiere. They're all pretty though. I had an easy time applying all of these. I didn't feel like I needed to fight them. I didn't notice any shrinkage with any of the polishes. So sometimes with Crellies, I notice that once I apply them, it's like they pull away a little bit at my nail tip and sometimes at my cuticle as well. I didn't have that problem with any of these. They dried relatively quickly. They dried relatively smooth. I didn't need to like layer up multiple coats of top coat on top of any of them. And that includes this one that had some pretty good sized glitters in there. I've been so impressed with Cameo colors. I enjoy all of the polishes that I've tried, and I would be really interested in trying more in the future. So if you have any polishes from this brand that you've tried, I would love to hear about them. Let me know what your experience has been. Mine has been so good. I'm really impressed with all of the shades that I received, and I've really been enjoying them. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please consider liking and subscribing if you did, and I hope I'll see you all in the next one. Bye guys!